So has it become illegal to make jokes? How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the fake news media, the mainstream media, alleging that Candace Owens wants to invade Australia with the U.S. military. Now, anybody could have seen that video, which we'll get to in a minute. Anybody could have seen that video and realized that, number one, she was making a joke, and number two, she was making a very valid point about the ridiculous state of Australia right now as it relates to the virus and the mandates and the lockdowns and the restrictions and the complete lack of freedom. Now, before I go any further, let's roll the clip. If you want to see the entire thing, I'll link to that in the box. But here, I'm going to show a piece of it just so you get the relevant information. And after we get done watching that, I'll come back. I'll talk about what was said there. Then I give you my 2 cents and my deep, detailed analysis. And then I wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
For the last 20 years, the United States has spent trillions of dollars overseas in Afghanistan fighting a war, which we lost, by the way. We were told that the war was necessary anyway. It was necessary, the slaughtering of American sons and daughters on foreign soil, because we were fighting a noble cause to spread democracy in a tyrannical land, to free an oppressed people. So I'm going to ask those same lecturing politicians and media members a question now. When do we deploy troops to Australia? When do we invade Australia and free an oppressed people who are suffering under a totalitarian regime? When do we spend trillions of dollars to spread democracy in Australia? Australia currently, make no mistake, is a tyrannical police state. Its citizens are quite literally being imprisoned against their will. So when do we deploy? Of course, I ask that in jest because we all know the real answer. What is happening in Australia under the guise of a virus, which, by the way, as of August 7, 2021, experts estimate the overall recovery rate is between 97% and 99.75%. What's actually happening under the guise of this virus is federal overreach, tyranny, totalitarianism, the kind that gives birth to evil dictatorships and human atrocities. We are watching a replay of the early ambitions of Joseph Stalin, Adolf Hitler, Fidel Castro, Hugo Chavez. That is what is hiding beneath the guise of this fictitious, perpetual need to slow the spread. We all know some more truths. That what's happening in Australia was meant to happen here in America.
All right, so you saw that, you heard that. Now, again, was that an obvious joke or not? To me, it clearly was. I don't think she really wants to invade Australia because, like, let's just put on our thinking caps, right? Take a tinfoil hat off and put on a thinking cap, right? Why would anyone want to invade Australia for a legitimate reason? Are we going to go steal the kangaroos? Are we going to steal their gigantic car-sized spiders? What are we going to take from Australia? What will be the purpose of actually invading Australia? You know what? It's kind of insulting that some of these news outlets would allege that Candace Owens wants to invade Australia. And people, like, it's insulting because if you report a story like that, then you think people will believe it. And they're going to watch that video and take that away from it. You're insulting the intelligence of the regular, everyday normie out there reading newspapers and watching television. But maybe to a certain extent, you're right, because a lot of people still believe in things that have been proven to be false. I won't get into those right now, so I digress. The whole point is that the Guardian and other papers and TV stations, they're insulting your intelligence when they put a story out talking about Candace Owens wants to invade Australia. Obviously, it's not the case. I think we can link the joke that she made to the whole Afghanistan kerfuffle because we spent, as she was saying in the longer video, we spent trillions of dollars, went to Afghanistan and lost. So rather than going to Afghanistan and trying to quote unquote spread democracy and failing and getting involved in this big military grift so you can pay all the defense contractors and the local drug lords in the area, and you can make your little cut off the heroin you export, or I'm sorry, the quote unquote poppy rather than doing that, how about you take those same efforts and that same money to Australia, where there is an actual problem with freedom? There's an actual problem. I mean, anytime you go to a grocery store and the police are checking your bag to see if you're actually shopping, you know, I saw one clip where somebody was outside drinking from like a Starbucks type cup, coffee cup, and the officer took the cup and shook it to see if there was anything in there, just to make sure that they weren't outside without their mask on properly. Because if there was nothing in the cup, then it's like, okay, why is your mask off? Why are you out here doing this? You shouldn't. See, stuff like that is going on in Australia. It's just way too much. I saw another clip where this lady got tackled and then double pepper sprayed. I'm not sure if that was Australia. I believe it was. It's like this lady's got to be 100 years old and you're tackling her and you have not one but two officers spraying her. And don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to attack the police. This is not necessarily a police thing. It's an Australia thing. It's a lack of freedom thing. It's how you're able to brainwash everybody, not just the officers, but the normies too. You're able to brainwash everybody into complying. And to be fair, Australia's kind of small. It's like 20 million people, 30 million people, something like that. It's not a very big country. I mean, it's a big landmass. It's a big continent when you're talking about just when you compare it to the population size. But a lot of the population is on the coast. They're not really too far beyond the coastline. So it's not like the U.S. where people live on the coast and then they live inland. It's not quite that way. But I digress. The whole point is that there is a serious issue with Australia that Candace Owens highlighted in a very easy to understand way. Anybody can really grasp what's going on. And again, if you want to engage in some nation building, some democracy spreading, go to where it's actually needed, not to Afghanistan, where quite frankly, I think a lot of them don't even really want democracy. And you know what? I got a hot take for you right quick. Here's a super hot take, straight off the griddle. Okay, it's flaming hot. Wait for it to cool down a little bit. Take about 5 minutes. But I think maybe the majority in Australia don't want the freedom that we have over here in the States. Just maybe, because a lot of people that are in charge represent the will of the people. Not all, don't get that twisted. A lot of Australians watch this channel and you guys are not with the nonsense, but a lot of your neighbors are with it. It's the same thing that's going on right now in California, okay? California is becoming like Australia, or really kind of like China. Same thing, but anyway, California's going in that direction where it's authoritarian. You can't really do anything. Can't really leave your house. They're going that direction. And a lot of people want that. And we saw that with the whole Gavin Newsom kerfuffle. Remember the recall effort? There was a lot of enthusiasm. Larry Elder led the pack. And I think Larry Elder did a good job. But I kind of had this sinking feeling in my heart right when the whole election, the recall process started. It was a feeling in my heart that this won't go anywhere because the liberalism, the far leftist extremism is too ingrained into the state. So it doesn't matter how bad of a job Gavin Newsom does to us that have a brain that are kind of either conservative, centrist, libertarian, or whatever. It doesn't matter what we see. It doesn't matter what's happening in California. The people that voted for him, the leftists, the liberals, they're going to vote for him again because that's what they want. They want things to be shut down. I saw that with the whole In-N-Out burger kerfuffle. They got closed temporarily for not enforcing the vax mandate, meaning they didn't have a guy out front with a scanner or something like that, scanning you for like a piece of broccoli. It didn't have anybody out there really checking to see if you had your vax. For that, they were shut down for a brief period of time. Then they were reopened. And the news went out there and they were interviewing people. And two of the people that they found, I'm not saying this is the majority that they interview, obviously, but two people or two groups of people said that they agree with what California is doing, or at least San Francisco, and they don't like what In-N-Out Burger is doing, talking about there being negligent, all this, that, and the third. And again, some may say that's not the majority of those that were out there, but I mean, was it or wasn't it? We saw what the numbers were when it came to the recall election. Gavin Newsom stayed in office with the same kind of percentage that he got elected in the first place. You know, it was overwhelming majority, like 65%. So what do you do with that? At the end of it, I think that Candace Owens had a great point about if you're going to spend some money, if you're going to spend trillions of dollars, which is a stupid amount of money, if you're going to spend that much money, how about sending it to where it actually may make a difference, to where you had democracy, you had freedom, but now you don't. Now you don't, all because of this particular bug. And maybe I'm wrong about freedom and democracy in Australia because, after all, they don't have any more guns. They sold those away in the 90s. So maybe it's not as free as what we say. At the end of the day, as I close, I think this was an opportunity for the lamestream, old school media to attack Candace Owens. They don't like her. She gets in the way. She's a quote unquote troublemaker, so they got to attack her. But I think at a certain point, when you keep telling lies like this, talking about she wants to invade Australia and being serious about it, when you keep telling lies like this, it's like little boy cried wolf. When you keep crying wolf over and over again and there's never a wolf, when the wolf does come, nobody's going to believe you. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about the mainstream media lying on Candace Owens as per usual? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. Lamestream, old school media, they are the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, as BLM and Antifa are the enforcement arm of it. That's what they are. It's all kind of just one big machine trying to attack everyone who opposes them, whether they attack them physically, whether they attack them through propaganda. However they want to get you, they're going to attempt to do so. And in the minds of many of the ignorant, of the just uninformed about politics, a lot of this stuff works. And that's why people like myself and many others are here to counteract that false narrative. Okay? Candace Owens made a joke, and the point she made while telling the joke was 1000% on point. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.